Alright, so right before spring break, we talked about adding and subtracting, multiplying roots. We talked about simplifying. We talked about taking cube root, fourth root. So our last lesson we're going to do dealing with roots is called rationalizing the denominator. Alright, so if it's a denominator, that means it has to look like a fraction. So one thing, there are two different ways you can do this. Multiply both the top and the bottom by the same root. So if all you have in the denominator is a root, then you will multiply it by the root that's in the denominator, both the numerator and denominator. All right, the second thing is multiply both the numerator and the denominator by the conjugate. So first thing you look at is see if all you have to do is multiply it by a root. If that's not going to work, then you look and see about multiplying by the conjugate. Now, what's a conjugate? So, x squared minus 3 is my first expression. The conjugate is x squared plus 3. So if I give you x squared minus 3, the conjugate is x squared plus 3. Alright, so let's look at another example. What if I give you seven plus square root of 2?
7 minus square root of 2.
Yes, conjugate would be 7 minus square root of 2. Alright, so what if I give you square root of 5 minus a?
Square root of 5 plus a.
Square root of 5 plus a. Alright, so the conjugate, only thing that changes is the sign between the two pieces of the binomial. Alright, so let's look at some examples. Two divided by the square root of 3. Can I do a conjugate on this one? No. It's not adding or subtracting. So all I do on this is multiply numerator and denominator by the square root of 3. So times square root of 3, square root of 3. Alright, now if we go back to multiplying roots, we multiply the numbers that are on the outside. So what number is on the outside of my square root of 3? 1. Alright, so I'll multiply the outside. 2 times 1 is 2. And then I'll multiply what's on the inside of my square root. What's under this one? A 1. This is the same as 2 times the square root of 1. So 1 times 3 is? Alright, so what's on the outside of this right here? 1. So 1 times 1 is 1. Square root of 3 times square root of 3? Square root of 9. So what's the square root of 9? 3. So this is the same thing as 3. So it's 2 square root of 3 over 3. You cannot have a root, a negative, a fraction, anything like that in the denominator. So this one had a root, so I had to get rid of my root. Alright. Square root of 2 divided by 2 square root of 3. Do I have an addition or subtraction?
No.
No. So all I'm going to do is look at that root. So what am I going to multiply this by? The square root of 3. So I'm multiplying my numerator and the denominator by the square root of 3. Alright. So what number's in front of the square root of 2? That's that understood 1. What number's in front of this? Square root 1 and 1. Alright. So 1 times 1 is? 1. I'll do my root symbol. 2 times 3? 6. Alright. You do the outsides. 2 times 1? 2. 3 times 3? 9. What's the square root of 9? 3. So that's the same thing as 2 times 3. So square root of 6 over 6. Let's look at another one. Square root of 5 plus 3 divided by 4 minus the square root of 5. Does this one have addition or subtraction in the denominator? Yes. So I have to use the conjugate of the denominator. So I have square root of 5 plus 3 over 4 minus the square root of 5. So what's the conjugate? Good. 4 plus the square root of 5. Alright. Now we're going to go back to what we were doing before spring break when we were multiplying. So 5 plus square root of 3 times 4 plus the square root of 5. Alright, 3 times 5. Alright, so this is the square root of 15. 5, so what number is in front of the square root of 5? 1. So 1 times 5 is 5. Square root 1 times 5 is 5. Alright, so 4 times 1 is 4. 1 times 3 is square root of 3. And then 5 times 4 is 'Alright, where did I get what? Because this one, that's... Alright, y'all didn't tell me. It's supposed to be square root of 5 plus 3. Alright, start over. I had my numbers backwards. Alright, so square root of 5 times 3 is 3 square root of 5. Alright, 1 times 1 is 1. Square root of 5 times 5 is square root of 25. Alright, 4 times 3 is 12. 4 times the square root of 5 is 4 square roots of 5. Alright, there we go. So what's the square root of 25? 5. So I'm going to take this square root of 25 and I'm going to replace it with a 5. Alright, now 12 plus 5. 17. 4 plus 3. 7 square root of 5. Alright, so we have 17 plus 7 square root of 5. That's our numerator. Alright. Now,
Wait, what's that?
17 plus 7 square root of 5. Now, you take the denominator. 4 minus square root of 5. 4 plus square root of 5. Alright. 5 times 5. 5 times 5. 25. So square root of 25. 4 times 1 is 4 square root of 5. 4 times 1 is 4 square root of 5. 4 times 4 is 16. Alright, square root of 25 is what? Alright, so this is the same thing as,
Right, why they got to make them from their own part?
because this is the positive times the negative is a negative.
I stopped.
Because
Oh.
This is a plus, this is a minus, the positive times a negative is a negative. Alright, so we have 16. 4 minus 4 is 0, so plus 0 minus 5. So what's my denominator? 16 plus 0 minus 5. 11. So 17 plus or minus 7 square root of 5 over 11.
wait,
Right.
Now,
So, it's like the denominator is the only thing that we're gonna have to work out.
well, this one you had to work out in the numerator because it had a problem in it also.
I'm saying like you didn't have to put numerator, so like you put the denominator.
Guys. Alright, say again so I can hear you.
Well, you know how you did the two denominators together, you know how to do the two numerators like that, do you?
Yes. Yes, that's what gave me this. 17 plus 7 square root of 5. You had to multiply.
It's still the denominator. You saying like we don't have to do the square root of 5 plus 3 multiplied by.
The square root of 5 minus 3.
No, you multiply the numerator and the denominator both by the conjugate of the denominator. Only the denominator. Yeah. Because you want a whole number in the denominator. Alright. Let's look at another example. Alright. 3 divided by 4 plus 4 square root of 5.
We got an addition, but no subtraction.
Alright, so I have addition. So I'm going to have to use the what? What's the vocabulary word? Conjugate.
conjugate.
So this is a plus, so the conjugate's a minus. Alright, so 4 minus. Alright. So 3 times 4,
Well, I mean, 12.
12. 3 times negative 4,
Negative 12.
negative 12. Alright, so there's the first one. There's the numerator.
That's square root of 5.
Square root of 5. 12 minus 12 square root of 5. Alright, so now I have to do these two. 4 plus 4 square root of 5. 4 minus 4 square root of 5. Alright. So you start. Square root of 5 times square root of 5.
25.
Alright, so square root 25. Alright, 4 times 4.
It's 16.
16. Positive and a negative?
Negative.
Good. So 4 times 4.
16.
Positive times a negative.
Negative.
Negative 16 square root of 5. Alright. 4 times positive 4.
16.
Positive 16 square root of 5. And 4 times 4. 16. Alright. So 16 times the square root of 25 is what? What's square root of 25? Alright, so this says 16 times 5. Alright, so 16 plus 0 minus what 16 times 5? 80. Alright, so 16 minus 80. Because your calculator, 16 minus 80.
Oh, it's 60.
64. All right. Now, is there any number that divides into both 12 and 64? What? 4. But we cannot have a negative in the denominator. So we're going to divide by what? Negative 4. Because I don't want a negative in the denominator. Alright, so 12 divided by negative 4. 12 divided by negative 4. Negative 3.
I thought you were saying negative 64 divided by 4.
We'll get there. Negative 12 divided by negative 4. Alright, so plus 3 square root of 5. 64 divided by negative 4.
16.
Favorite number you think.
I think you're recorded, right?
Somebody pick up your calculator. 64 divided by 4.
Oh, you know, calculate all I need.
64 divided by 4 is 16.
It is 16. Alright. There's your final answer. You must simplify.